quiet on set.
What are we talking about today, Kristen? Action.
Ooh, okay. Well, first of all, hi, Raylene.
Good morning.
It's been a minute since I saw you 30 seconds ago. We are talking today about something that is extremely important in all the communities, especially fitness, and it is regarding
You can't even say it.
Our emotions. No, it's regarding our mind, our mindset, our mental health when it comes down to doing the hard things in the gym.
Mm-hmm. And how you can learn a lot of things from just showing up and taking care of your health that are applicable to a lot of other things that you encounter in life. And we're going to share a bit about how we are now applying our fitness learned lessons into our daily life, and then reflect a bit on our mindset when we first started the gym and kind of why it's still relevant now, even though we've been working out for years, because it's still showing up in other places.
Yeah. I think that we have this humor now that maybe some people don't understand when we're talking about our emotions. Where are they? Oh, where? I think that's more of like a personality thing that you and I have
in common.
Like, excuse me, clicked on. We have in common because we joke about it, but we joke about our emotions because they're ours and we can joke about them. And
of course,
this is how we've survived them for a while.
Yeah, I think that people come at emotions differently, and I don't think that it's any secret that it's something that we're both still working on.
Yeah.
So this will be a really interesting episode because it's going to be challenging, I think, to like really dig deep and be vulnerable for both of us. But I believe in us. I think that we can do it.
I do too.
But yeah, for anyone listening that's noticed that me and Kristen joke a lot about our emotions and opening up, it's because we come from a deep place of survival in our previous lives, and like versions of ourselves were very guarded.
Yeah. And
obviously we're doing a podcast where we're talking about it, so we've come a long way. But yeah, if we seem like we're taking a little bit to articulate ourselves, that's why.
Yeah, and also we aren't here to say that we are the know-it-alls when it comes down to mental health.
No.
No, we're not. We're
far from.
We're just sharing our experiences and want everybody to know that, you know, there's so many different ways to get to the same conclusion.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own ways of thinking. So, but exactly. So to start off, Raylene, I want to put in perspective for our listeners. I've met you in the last year, so we basically have skyrocketed our friendship in 2024.
It's been less than a year.
That's wild to me.
Right?
That you know, there's that saying.
Maybe about a year.
Family doesn't have to be blood related.
Yeah.
And
it's been definitely a quick process, but it's kind of like when you know, you know.
When you you know, exactly. When you know your people, when you realize, and just I've learned so much about myself and how I can actually open up my emotions and feel certain,
like celebrated for them, and supported in them. Yeah, I know.
Encouraged, and especially in the space of gym and working out, because if you think about it, when I first went into the gym, I mean, putting your headphones on if you have headphones, and then just walking in, whether I had a trainer or not at that time, which most of the time I didn't, I was very alone and didn't know how to interact with the gym community, and for several years I just walked in. I didn't really do group classes when it came to strength training.
Yeah.
So I didn't do CrossFit.
It's a solo mission for sure.
Yeah.
So, even if you're showing up to group classes, it's a solo mission. Because like,
true.
You gotta put your clothes on, get in the car, drive yourself over there, reserve the class. Like, it's a solo commitment. No one is making you go, and if you don't go, nobody cares. Like, it really doesn't affect anyone but you.
Yeah. And I think there's different ways that people like to be, obviously going to the gym for multiple years now, different ways that people like to be interacted with at the gym. Like some people like don't want you to talk to them, especially if they're in the middle of a set, or
which is really understandable.
Which is extremely understandable. I mean, I didn't walk up to strangers like just after they like put a weight down for the longest time, and I still am very hesitant to do that, but sometimes if I have a reason to, or just encouragement that I can say to someone, I will. But it's very quick. It's fast, boom, go. But the reason I'm saying this is like, I think there's definitely roadblocks to creating a gym or where unless you know people from outside of the gym that you meet inside of the gym, it's a very much, like you said, a solo mission, solo trip, which also is a reason to open up the topic of mental health when we talk about
I think that the
journey.
Gym and fitness and health in general is it's pretty emotional, whether people tap into that side of it or not, and whether or not people are self-aware enough to reflect on the emotions that come up for them. I think that it's a super emotional journey as much as it is physical. I mean, taking control of your health and being fit and being consistent, like that requires a lot of toughness, bravery. You're gonna have failures to overcome. That's gonna require you to feel disappointment, frustration, anger, and then you're gonna have the wins, the happiness, the joy, the pride. All of that comes with maybe just a single day at the gym. You'll feel all of those things. And I think that when people tap into the emotional side of fitness is really when you're able to create a lasting relationship with it, because you know all of the ins and outs. It's not just a place where you're going to improve your appearance or lose fat or build muscle. It's a much deeper, more connected place for you to go. And I think that with our own journeys, and kind of like you were saying in the beginning, when I first joined the gym, I was very much so headphones in, don't talk to me, I don't want to talk to anybody else, because when I was going to the gym in the beginning, that was peak survival mode of like, I have to do this and just be alone and shut everything out and not think about anything. I don't want social anxiety. I don't want anybody looking at me, anybody talking to me. And it was just like a place for me to just block out the world. Now it's interesting, and obviously some of it has to do with growth outside of the gym, but it's interesting to see the pattern of now I'm much, not friendlier, but much more open to interaction at the gym. I've worked at gyms now. I have people that I definitely will take my headphones out for and like talk to, say what's up. But before I would never do that. And I can't help but wonder if there's a connection between my emotional connection to fitness and being more healed mentally that has allowed me to act a lot more open and healed at the gym.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I don't know about you, but I didn't exactly go... Nowhere in my head for the longest time did I think, oh, I just need to make a bunch of friends at the gym. I was just like, no, I need to walk in, lock in, and go to work.
And that, like, if someone was talking to you, it was like a threat to that.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't allow it.
Yeah. And I think there's proper boundaries to put in place. But I think what you're saying, too, is like you're saying through the healing journey that you had, you felt a little more open to be interactive. And it's not just during the workout. It's being interactive with someone who shares similar goals to you or shares a similar work ethic to you. And I think that's definitely one way to kind of be more open about your progress on healing from whatever journey you're in. Sometimes it doesn't even include other people being there, and sometimes it's your perspective with the gym itself. You've mentioned multiple emotions where it's like, okay, these are the things that I'm feeling all at once, and I'm also here to literally put in the input, like bicep curl, like a pull-up, all these things that are objectively, you do it enough over time, you're going to get to an output.
Exactly.
You're going to get the result. But we're human, and we acknowledge that sometimes even just thinking about picking up the same dumbbell that we picked up last week is mentally a little more challenging this week. Yeah. That happens with the stress, right? So tell me about your beginning when you first started, around the time that you first started to take the gym a little more seriously. Did you ever have a pause in the gym because it was like, ooh, this is a lot all at once? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I had a huge pause. And this will be really relevant when we talk more about mental health in our lives outside of the gym too, but I first fell in love with lifting in the gym and going solo when I was 17, 18 years old. And it was because I did track in high school, and my track coach was the one that kind of inspired us to start lifting weights. And so I slowly but surely started going, and eventually, you get that routine and you get over the hump of anxiety and embarrassment, and you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And anybody who's still in the embarrassment, anxiety phase, like, it gets so awesome. Just, like, keep going. But... so I was loving it. I had a routine. I would get off, it was like, would be summer, and I'd get off of work and go to the gym. And it was just my place. I loved it. Whether or not I was there, like, just to look hotter doesn't really matter. Like, I just liked it. And that was enough for me. And then, of course, later on, my reasons for going got much deeper than that. But I had a pause when I went to college because I just started partying. Like, I just fell into the drinking, going out, not getting sleep, school, living on my own for the first time. And so I just like tried to hang on to it, but it was, maybe 3 times a week. And it's like, what am I really, I wasn't getting anything out of it for my body physically. Mentally though, I was. Because if you think about it, if I'm going out, drinking, not getting sleep, eating from the cafeteria food, if I'm working out and I'm like barely doing cardio 3 times a week, I'm probably not getting much out of it physically. But looking back, I genuinely believe that, because I struggled for sure with a lot of depression, like during the college phase of my life. And I genuinely think that going to the gym, even if it wasn't perfectly consistent or 5 days a week, that is what helped me stay closer to baseline rather than like completely falling off the edge. I like clung to that part of my life.
Right.
For what reason? At the time I didn't know, because I wasn't seeing any physical results, but something in me was like, wanted to go. I needed to go. And looking back, it definitely was because it was an emotional thing for me of like, I would leave there feeling good. I would leave there feeling proud. I would get the endorphins. But in the moment, you're not thinking about that. But it's like, that's why I wanted to always go back and go back and go back. Because I would feel really low in other parts of my life. And subconsciously connected the gym to like when I would feel good. But that for like a couple years, there was a lull where it kind of just looked like that.
Yeah.
Then once I started getting the rest of my life in order, locked back in, got back into it, started loving it again, and now I'm here. But that pause was huge. But I think it's so interesting how I would keep going, and anyone that looked at me physically would be like, why? Like, those 2 years didn't make you look any different. There was no physical improvement.
Have you ever been told that?
No, but... No.
No, why?
No, why? But, like, when I look at pictures and stuff, it's like, I wasn't doing any crazy change. Like, there was no fat loss, muscle building, like, performance improvement. It was just very, like, that was how I was. But mentally, like, it was kind of like a lifeline for me.
So you're saying it wasn't the most visible difference / changes in those 2 years, but you yourself, you felt better in the sense of maybe increased cardio, maybe increased just mental concentration, because the gym makes you a little tired, but at the same time you stay very focused for what, 30 minutes to an hour to
Yeah.
to however long you work out, and then you're ready for the rest of the day to conquer
exactly.
the day.
And it's just like that feeling of the rest of my life kind of felt like it was not going so great. And so I think when I went to the gym, it was a place where I could, like I said, just block everything out. I don't have to think about school, my friendships, my relationships, my parents back home, my, like, anything, like, my job. It was just, because they all weren't great. And I think that the gym allowed me to just find that place of peace where I just didn't have to be engaged with the parts of my life that I wasn't proud of. And so it was almost like escapism for a while, which I don't think long term is the healthiest reason for people to go. I think that usually if you're going and it's the only place you feel peace, that's kind of a sign that you should look at the rest of your life and figure out why you don't want to be in the rest of your life. But at that time, like, I needed that because I didn't really have anywhere else to go that I felt really good about myself. So it really helped me for that period.
And I think that a lot of people, when we objectively or look at a way somebody's processing something and you pass judgment over it of like, hey, this isn't that healthy, like maybe you shouldn't do that. And that's really quick, a little rant on where I went from not going to the gym to going to the gym to going to the gym all the time. And
everyone was giving you flack about it being obsessive or unhealthy.
Crazy, a little obsessive. And, well, I think it's just interesting, too, because I do believe there was, at least in my journey, a little bit of unhealthiness. And when someone looks at that and says, okay, well, maybe you shouldn't do this gym thing, you shouldn't do this fitness thing because it's not healthy. I've always thought, or at that time, it's not healthy, based on one reason or the other. I've always thought, well, why should I stop if I'm not there yet? Because the only way I'm going to get there, the only way I'm going to make the gym, turn it, my fitness and my gym into a healthy spot is if I keep putting in reps to increase that ability for me to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So why would I just stop? You know?
Well, yeah, and then how else are you going to get to a place where... Because I feel like everyone that is in the gym long term will understand that, like, your relationship with fitness is going to be like this.
Up and down.
Yeah, until you find this baseline of, like, this works for me.
Right.
Right? And so in the beginning, you're trying everything out. You're seeing, should I go 7 times a week? Should I go 3 times a week? Should I do CrossFit? Should I do bodybuilding? Like, you don't know. Nobody really knows. Like, you have to try everything.
Right.
But I think that, like, what you're saying is, like, well, how else am I going to get the output from this if I don't do the input? Is, like, people feel really lost in the beginning of their fitness journey, and they're like, well, I don't know. Like, I went 5 times last week, and now I only went 3 times this week. It's like, just keep going.
Right.
Because eventually you'll find your baseline, which you have.
Yes.
And, like, you know what works for you. But it took you a while to figure that out. Like, what does that look like? How often? And, like, and sometimes I feel like when people say years, it sounds discouraging. But, like, it's fun to discover that. If you have the right perspective about it, it can actually be fun and exciting to try different types of fitness and different routines to find one that works for you. Because everything that you try means that you're one try closer to finding the perfect fit. Exactly.
And you mentioned earlier, you're like, hey, if anyone or whoever, I don't know how you said it, but whoever's a beginner, it does get better, it does get more amazing. And what does that even mean? Can you go dive into that a little bit? Like, what does it gets more amazing? Because I can already say some objections, and also I agree in certain ways, but I want to hear how you would describe amazing.
Amazing, I think, because my journey was, I had it and then I lost it and now I have it again. It's kind of like made fitness and health to me, it's almost like, this is gonna be dramatic, but it's like you lost something that you love.
Yeah.
And then it comes back. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like 10 times more grateful for this because I know what life was without it. And even the beginning, when I was 17, 18 years old, like, I definitely wasn't doing things right. But I had that routine. and I like felt like I was taking care of myself, and then to lose that and then find it again completely on my own was so rewarding. And now I cannot imagine my life without working out and without being healthy. Like, I just think that I'll do it forever because I know what it feels like to not be.
Right.
But I think when I'm saying it gets amazing, it's not like you suddenly log 100 workouts and then every workout after that you're like, this is amazing. Like, I can't wait to go to the gym. This feels so good. I love it. And I come home every day and there's a rainbow on my porch and a fresh cooked meal on the table. Like, no. But I mean, like, the more reps that you put in and the more workouts that you do, then your 100th workout, your 300th workout, your 1,000th workout, you'll eventually just have this sense of deep security and safety within yourself. And I don't know if other people or other women resonate with this, but I feel like a lot of my life was lived in fear and anxiety and like not knowing if I could take care of myself, what's going to happen to me next, like what's my life going to look like. Right. And having fitness is like having a rock. And I feel like that's the part that's amazing, is because in the beginning you're not, is it going to work? Am I going to see results? Am I going to get out of this what I want to get out of this? This is really hard. I don't know if it's worth it. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, okay, it's working. It's worth it. It's happening. I actually like coming here. I feel confident here. I'm seeing results. I'm feeling results. That's when it's amazing. It's not that the work showing up every day gets any easier. If anything, it can be harder. And you'll get more frustrated. Yeah. Because you're going to get more into it. But like, if you, every once in a while when I get super frustrated over fitness stuff, I just take a step back and it's just like, how lucky I am to be in this place where I care so much about my health and fitness. And I'm so invested. Like, I've come so far.
And I also want to say, even if you're not in a physical gym, you are in a parking lot, a basketball court, where
your spare bedroom, your garage,
anywhere where you're doing some calisthenics and you're doing some push-ups, you're doing some squats, some crunches, anything to get your heart rate up, anything to push that intensity in a safe way. This all applies to you as well. It's like, you don't need the best facility to be able to raise the intensity of your physical fitness.
I think COVID was a huge like proof of that. Yeah. Is that, you know, there was some gyms opened up pretty quickly again, but like there was a good chunk of time where everyone lost their gym, right? Right. And that, I think, to me, the people that started moving during that time was a huge testament to like who's tapping in mentally, because that's hard. Sometimes, like for me, it's hard to work out at home. Like, it's hard to make do because the gym is like a place I love to go to. So that is something that I feel like people that work out at home I have a deep respect for.
And I do want to I want to say something about the hard thing, because I feel like hard is so relative and personal.
Well, yeah, subjective,
is that what yeah. So like my hard versus your hard, it could be different. Yeah. And it could be different for anybody. So I just want someone to know that, dependent on your priorities, that's something that I learned through my fitness journey. Because at first, showing up was hard, right? Yeah. Like, showing up is hard, and now we have different hards. And it's like, yes, showing up is still hard, but now we just added new ones because we've been here, like, coming to the same kind of routine, and we just keep learning more about ourselves, and we keep advancing and stuff like that. So
I like that. Hard is different, and hard will change.
Hard will change.
Because, like we were saying, first thing, it was hard for me to show up. It was also, someone else could be like, I have all the time in the world. It's hard for me to know what to do. Yeah. Or someone else might be like, I know what to do. I just have a hard time being confident. Yeah. So it's like different for everybody, but it will all change, because eventually, like you said, the more you do something, you will master it. If you just do it over and over, and then your hard will change, because it's not just going to all get easy. It's like, okay, maybe you master walking in the gym feeling confident, then you get a new job, and, you know, your hard changes to time.
Exactly.
It's going to be different.
Your hard changes to making sure you're fueled up properly, nutrition-wise.
I think that's a forever hard.
I know, and a lot of people have the job really job thing is a huge thing where, you know, you're trying to sustain your family and yourself, or just work hard in whatever that you're doing, and then it's like, oh, why would I make time for the gym? It's that level of hard where obviously everybody has a different experience and nobody really understands each other on that component, because we all have different responsibilities, all grew up differently. But I think that just generating this sense of what are we going to do about the hands that we were dealt? Yeah. And are we going to take it? Are we going to move forward and try to understand the hard and try to persevere and push through? And I just want people to know that whatever their situation is, that I mean, it's, if you want to push through, there's a way, and we're figuring it out, and we're putting daily deposits every single day. But that's great. I mean, everybody has different experiences in mental health regarding that, regarding their life, regarding other things.
What do you feel like your emotional journey when you started was like for you, and how did fitness find you, or you find fitness on an emotional level? Oh,
I could not. You mentioned the 100th workout, the 300th workout. I could not have thought of that when I was first going into the gym. Yeah. Well, the timeline looks like this. It was 2021, December-ish, and I was walking into, and I've been in the gym before, but I just set first year in college, and I was like, you know what, I need to just start doing this for myself. I didn't know why. At that time, I was
gonna ask. I was like, no, there's no moment. It's just this general feeling that I need to do this.
It was just kind of, I mean, I've grown up kind of doing more hands-on stuff. I like being outside. I felt like there was a reason I should go to the gym. I just didn't know why. Yeah. And thought that it was interesting. And so I would wake up, change my whole... Actually, no, that's not yet. But I would wake up around 6 in the morning and...
Get the timeline right.
Get the timeline right, Kristen. Wake up around 6 in the morning, get there to the gym. I would walk over. My feet would just be so cold because of the ground being cold. It was early. But... I
love how you remember that.
No, I did.
Specifically, my feet.
Well, I'm saying, when you ask what was my sense of...
You had to push through, a lot of discomfort.
I was complaining because my feet were cold.
Yeah. You were trying to find reasons.
I was trying to find reasons. Yeah. Exactly. But I would have some music on, and I also dealt with a lot of anxiety, and I felt like I needed to purposefully, intentionally take deeper breaths in the morning. That's when it would hit the worst, the morning and night. And so I would walk in there and just kind of... the way I could explain it is I was there, but I was kind of passive. I was kind of just
checked out.
Kind of checked out. I'm like, what do I want to do today? Which it's fine if that's what you do. I just, in comparison to what I do now, I just I just kind of, it's such a big growth in a different direction. But
well, I mean, we could do a whole episode on walking in the gym with a plan.
Right. You know? And I always say this, and I need to stop saying this. Obviously, when I say the things that I do, I don't intend for people to only do that, because I want you to try to explore what working
it's not
out,
a copy paste,
how you love to work out, how that looks like for you. So anyways, I'm just gonna say what I did. And so I would walk in there and do my thing, and I have this, I'm calling it famous, this is self-proclaimed, this famous selfie, or it's not a selfie, but it's of me in the gym, and I was really tiny at that time, and I never really thought much about that. And next month I had a very big event happen where I got a call in the gym, and turned out my grandma was in the hospital, and she had a I don't know if I want to say it yet, but she was not doing well. She was in the hospital, and I just ran in my car, and I drove home, which is in Southern California. And then I left everything there, and I was like, okay, I had class that day, I had other things, but I had to rally, and I chose to rally for somebody who's my second mom. And so I went down there, and then long story short, she ended up passing the next day. And I realized that I spent a couple of weeks in grief, and then I came back to my school, and the anxiety was extremely there, and I was in grief, and
it's a weird mix to have the low of grief and sadness and also the high of anxiety.
Exactly.
Because that is an exhausting place to be.
Oh, I was so, like, I was in overdrive in so many ways. And also, I forgot to mention, like, 2 months prior, I had, accepted Jesus into my life, which I thank God for, because that was a huge saving grace, because it allowed me to just develop my faith and my relationship with Jesus. And the part is like, I felt I did not feel strong. I felt like a part of me had just died. And I just remember, I have a crying wall. I think I mentioned it here, but
yes.
And then I wrote something on a journal, and because I was looking through my grandmother's texts, and I wrote this is metaphorically, by the way.
Okay.
I wrote...
Everyone prepare.
This is like...
It's a metaphor. Everybody chill.
A deep dive in Kristen's diary. I wrote that the old Kristen is dead. Here comes a life without... And then I used to call her Ma, my grandma. And I kind of take that symbolically as well, because in my faith, I want to kind of let go of my flesh and pick up the cross every single day. And that is... Oh, my goodness. When I went back to the gym, it turned very symbolic for me, just in life in general, because I just felt, I got the idea of, or the visualization, I don't think we've even talked about this, visualization of Jesus carrying the cross.
In the gym?
No, in my head.
Oh, I was
on the daily,
okay.
of like that pain, that burden, that of the weight that Jesus must have felt carrying his cross to his crucifixion site. And it was extremely, it was intense. And it was intense, and it was...
Well, it sounds like it moved you deep enough to where you're never going to forget it.
Oh, absolutely not.
So, how did that tie into the gym?
Well, 1,000% it tied in, because at that moment I started realizing that I needed to... It wasn't my own strength. It was Jesus' strength. And I started walking into the gym feeling not strong because I'm strong, but strong because Jesus is strong. Feeling more strong to do the harder things. So I came in there with an intention. That intention became, I need to become strong physically, and I was willing, and I am willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to push through any rep that it takes in a smart way. There's like logistical things to realize and know, and I made a lot of mistakes. Be safe. I made a lot of mistakes, but just in terms of the mental health component, I was like, I definitely leaned into that strength and that feeling, and that I'm not just walking in here to be like anybody else here. I actually did not really look around to see what anybody else was doing. What I was focused on was the fact that I had something, and that's my pull-up story, I had something that was bothering me, because it seemed like there was a voice in my head telling me that I am weak, that I am not strong, that I should not be here. And I was like, well, I mean, if Jesus can carry the entire weight of this, like, so much of all the sin on his back, you're telling me that I can't stand here underneath a pull-up bar and jump up? That's the kind of conversation that I was having. It's very intense, it's very real, but it just started to grow. And then that's when I started realizing that I was dealing with some spiritual warfare, and that is honestly what keeps me into where I have seen my mental health grow and just improve, and seen so much growth in the love I have for myself and the love I have for others through that intensity that I could not say came from me.
Right.
It was choices, but...
There's two big things that I'm getting from what you're saying now that I just want to, like, kind of make approachable for people who are brand new to this, and then also blow up to bigger ideas so that everyone can take it with them into their life.
Yeah.
The first one is that I can understand the level of feeling that you're talking about right now, but we're also years into this. And, like, you've had that moment. For people that haven't had this sort of transformation or found their deeper meaning for why yet, I just want you to realize, like, you're hearing Kristen's story, you're hearing a bit about mine, like, what drove us to find more and, like, be more and find strength. And that just goes to show you, like, both of us are saying that the reason, neither of us have said throughout this whole podcast, that the reason that I stayed in the gym and stayed consistent is because I lost fat.
Because of the specific...
Or because I got better arms. Like, we've never mentioned a physical benefit, even though our bodies look completely different now.
Sure.
And I just want to say how important that is, that both of our reasons for showing up here are deeply emotional and spiritual and mental. And so I encourage anyone who feels like, wow, that's intense, or that's a lot, or I don't know if I have that in my life, to just find connect to a deeper meaning to work out that goes past the physical. And that's just your starting point. Point A. Find a reason to go that isn't physical. Yep. And it can be anything. And then the second thing is, you mentioned, like, this sense of frustration of, like, the pull-up thing of, like, I feel so weak. There's this voice telling me that I can't do this. And, like, and finding a lot of your roots in your spirituality and your religion. Yeah. And using that as strength to do is interesting to me, because I feel like a lot of people feel like they keep failing. They're stuck in this rut. They can't overcome this. And I just want to touch on, like, it wasn't that you walked in there the first day, got mad, and then did the pull-up. It was, like, a very long process of frustration. And for me, too, like, the amount of times I said, I'll stop drinking, I'll stop doing drugs, all this stuff, and then failing to do so and being so upset with myself, is that eventually, if you're one of these people that feels stuck in this rut, you will get so sick of yourself. Like, you will get so sick of the old version of yourself failing and telling you that you can't, that one day you will. And, like, I can promise that. If you hold on to the drive and this idea that you know you can be more, you just haven't figured out a way yet, you will get so tired of not being able to do it that you will. Like, you one day will. You just have to have faith that you can.
You'll feel misaligned.
But you'll get to this point where you're like, I'm so mad. And anger, I think a lot of people think, like, anger is not healthy. I think anger is one of the healthiest things that you can feel, is, like, just feel all of it. Get mad at yourself. Get mad at this old version of yourself. Have grace, be forgiving, love yourself. But also, it's okay to be mad and be like, dude, why do I keep doing this and believing this about myself? Get pissed and say, I'm done. I'm done being this version of me. And I'm going to go do something different. And sometimes you have to get mad to change your behavior because you're so sick of it.
So what you're saying is feel your emotions.
Feel all of it. It's not going to be this, like, I'm just going to love myself enough today to change. Not. It's like, I'm mad the same way that if I kept making mistakes, a friend who loves me would get upset with me and be like, what are you doing? Stop doing that to yourself because they love me. So it's acting out of, you might feel anger, but it's out of love for yourself versus hatred. Like, you're so, because then you're just the belittling voice. Exactly. Then you're definitely never going to do it.
Exactly. Also, something that helped me, in addition to what I've already said, is that I started to realize that I'm everybody, but I felt influential in my circle. So, I mean, everybody is influential in their circle, which means that I thought I had a little voice that was, like, so quiet, but I was like, oh, there's some hope, there's some light. And she was like, hey, you realize if you do this, what kind of change you can make in other people's lives and also your own life. You realize if you just it's like, who cares? No one truly, like, no one cares if I do a pull-up. But but I do.
It's true.
I do, because
it's true.
Because if what it meant, that little voice in my head saying, hey, you know, you lead by example, and you might help other people feel capable as well.
Exactly. And you know what the alternative is? Exactly where you are right now or worse. And if that's not motivating enough, I don't know what is. Because I think the idea of, if you feel like crap, the idea of always feeling that way forever should be motivating enough for you to change something.
Right.
Right? Because people are like, oh, I don't know, like, there's this little voice in my head saying I can, but, like, I don't know, most of the voices in my head are saying I can't. It's like, okay, then if you listen to them, it seems like you've been listening to them for your whole life, and look where you are.
Yeah.
Not very happy, don't like where you're at. Like, maybe that little voice has some merit to it. Let's try and do something different. I think a lot of people don't consider the alternative is nothing.
Yeah.
The alternative is no change and exactly where you are, so you really don't have anything to lose.
So I'm going to bring up my sister real quick because I love her to death, and she is more, we've always compared each other, like, as we're growing up. Kristen was always really, like, brutal and blunt, and then my sister was always more in touch with her emotions is the best way I could say it. Like, more that, and more just, I don't know, I just felt this warmth from her from a constant basis. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't know every other person in this world, but I know that her and I have a pretty sharp contrast in, not that I'm not warm, trust,
She's really warm.
I can be unthawed. But what I'm saying is, like, obviously, and then you and I relate, so obviously we're coming from the perspective of a little blunt, a little, like, boom, this is how it was, this is how I felt, and this is how I want to change it, boom, 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 boom. So I don't ever think and expect and want anybody to change who they are, change how they do things, change their warmth or their not warmth or their personality or anything like that. I think that I want to just be a testimony of, hey, I didn't love myself at the beginning of this. Second, now I do. In related to or not related to the gym, I believe that whoever's listening, can really transform their life however you look at your emotions, however you deal with your mental health. And there is hope, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you just need to continue to commit. And I know how hard it is, and I know that not every tactic that anybody else goes through will work for you. However, you need to stay committed, and you need to remember that you are stronger than you think. That is the basis, because, and then at the end of the day, like, you and I found things that were not physical, that, like, it motivated us to kind of stay in there and stay going. And, you know, some people don't even think about what's not physical.
Oh, I know. And some people will go their whole lives without ever thinking about something physical. Which is fine.
Do your thing.
Hey, at least you're healthy. That's, honestly, I'd rather have you be healthy, focus on the physical, than not healthy, and not focus on anything.
Yeah,
but
do the things that you like.
Do something that you like, and just, I just feel like, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I feel like majority of people that I have known began the gym for physical reasons and stay for mental. I would say generally across the board. There's definitely people that started because they went through something difficult and then needed that space. But a lot of people start for physical or survival, and then they stay for emotional and mental benefits. And so I just want you guys to know that that's coming.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And, like, start thinking about it. It's never too early to start thinking about, like, why do I feel like I need to go to the gym? Like, explore that. Yeah. Don't just feel like I should go to the gym because I have to.
Yeah.
Like, why do you really feel that way? Is it because you don't like your body? Is it because you want to make friends and you feel lonely? Is it, like, what are the reasons? And find your deeper why, and then just hold on to that for dear life, because you're going to need it.
And also, have fun.
And yeah.
And smile.
I'm like, and you're gonna need it.
And I'm like,
and have fun.
I tell my entire, like, most vulnerable moments in my last 3 years, and I'm like, hey, also smile.
Also, like, it's really fun here.
Hey, don't worry, like, I'm warm.
We're warm enough.
We're warm. But thank you all for listening, and like we kind of mentioned, this is a bit of a heavier topic in so many ways, but if we're not transparent and if we're not putting down our realities, we're not doing it because we want you to necessarily care about it. We're doing it for that one person to maybe feel like, hey, like this helped. Hey, exactly. I feel encouraged. Hey, this, I relate nothing to these two women, but here we are. But let's just like walk in the gym today and like maybe add some extra fire.
Yeah, and if you feel like you don't relate to either of us, thank you so much for listening anyway.
Yeah, anyways, exactly. So just, exactly.
Go out there and crush it. Lastly, me and Kristen both fell in love, and began our story at Headstrong Fit in San Luis Obispo. And we just like to give them a little shout out. And if you're in the SLO area, you should definitely check out Headstrong, because they're the ones that host this amazing, awesome podcast every week.
They're amazing.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.